Hello, you saucy stranger. Welcome back. It's me, an Australian who can use intonation, and we're here to enjoy some interesting people's stories. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Let's get into it. Words.
First stories by Artistic Drop. Am I the a-hole for not letting my obese sister borrow my clothes? Hear me out. I'm a 20-year-old female, and I have a 17-year-old sister who loves to borrow my clothes, but she's obese. Growing up, we were always similar in size, so we always shared clothes. However, recently, she's really put on quite a bit of weight. She's taller, so she carries her weight better than some, but she's quite a few sizes larger than I am. I'm at a healthy weight for my height, but I tend to like wearing baggier sweaters and shirts, and I mainly wear leggings, which tend to be pretty stretchy. Now, since I work, I can usually afford much nicer or trendier clothing than my sister can. She's always asking to borrow certain sweaters and leggings to wear to school. The problem is that while some of my baggier clothes do fit, she stretches them out quite a bit when she wears them. Some items she has even ripped. Just last week, she really wanted to wear a pair of my VS leggings to school. Well, she ended up ripping them along the thigh when she sat down. I know she didn't mean to, but I was a little frustrated since they were one of my favorite pairs and are no longer sold by VS. She also stretched out the collar on one of my favorite sweaters. Well, clearly this is your own fault. If you weren't wearing such nice clothes, then maybe she wouldn't be taking them from you. Don't mind me just casually victim blaming. In all seriousness, I would recommend maybe downgrading your wardrobe, perhaps going for something a bit more indie and hip. I recommend maybe a potato sack. So, this past weekend I finally sat her down and told her that she can't borrow my clothes anymore. I've always tried to be a good sister and have never brought up her weight or shamed or anything, but she kept pressing, asking if it was because of the leggings. My parents ended up buying me a new, different pair to make up for it, or if she did something wrong and I just said I didn't want her wearing my clothes. But she kept pressing and pressing, so I finally said, gently, that she's gotten a little too big to wear my clothing and was stretching it out. I told her I didn't care what size she was and would help her find a job so she could afford some nicer clothes, but she went off. See, there's your problem. You gave someone with an insecurity a dose of reality. That's, you never do that. She went to my parents and our other family members and told them I was shaming her for being overweight and that it's not fair that I'm not sharing my clothes. She thinks it's just because of the leggings, which my parents replaced, but I honestly just am sick of my good clothes getting stretched out. I tried to talk to her, but she's pretty upset with me. My parents are staying out of it, but I guess some of my sister's friends are telling some of my friends that I'm totally an a-hole and I'm a feminine pup for saying she's fat, not what I said, etc. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for not letting my sister borrow my clothes anymore because of her weight? Not the a-hole. She's destroying your clothes. Why would she insist on wearing what doesn't even fit? Things that are more than 2 sizes small are not comfortable. At all. Well, hey, let's not be judgy here. For all we know, maybe she's someone who has a very large collection of chokers. At least, again, let's not shame. No shaming. Not the a-hole. Repeat after me, everyone. Obesity is unhealthy. Well, I mean, are they wrong, though? Like, where's the lie? Let's be real. People who even use the word fatphobic or talk about others body shaming them are usually extremely large and need a reality check. Diabetes doesn't care how body positive you are, Karen. Stop the war on science and give the body positivity movement back to amputees, thanks. Your sister needs to lose some weight and stop acting like she's entitled to any of your belongings. No one likes a girl who can't walk up a flight of stairs and who complains about her older sister not just giving her away her stuff. She's gonna have no friends. This is getting rather personal, I think. As an older sibling, I see why you're trying to be so gentle with her, but you gotta know when to tell little sisters to behave. My gap with my sister is 5 years, so it's a bit larger, and my family situation isn't as financially fortunate as yours, but I still act like a third parent, more so than my parents at times. Sometimes you just have to be the one to educate and put your siblings in their place. Establish boundaries and keep them, no matter the reason those boundaries are there, and even without any feasible reason. If you want to set a boundary, do it. You don't owe anyone smack. As a younger sibling from my lot, and, well, as an adult now, I can totally understand the advice they're giving and would absolutely agree to it. But that would mean I'd have to betray my fellow younger sibling peoples, and I cannot do that. You, as an older sibling, shall tolerate our irritation, and you shall love it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for planning on letting a male friend sleep in the same room as my female friend? So, my friend, who's an 18-year-old female, has been staying with me, I'm an 18-year-old female as well, and my roommate, who is 19 years old female, for a few days to a week with no problems. My roommate and I had already told our other friend, 19-year-old male, that he could stay with us on the weekend, but no one involved had any problems with this. The house is 2 bedrooms, but we also have a futon in the living room, and an air mattress so everyone gets their own bed. Our male friend was sleeping on the futon this particular night, and we set up the air mattress also in the living room for my female friend. When she told her 23-year-old male boyfriend this, he got very upset. My friend went for a drive to call him and cool down. While she was gone, her boyfriend messaged me getting mad, saying he hadn't been able to sleep in the same room as her in 4 months, and I'm fricked if I think some other guy is going to, and a string of other rude things. He just got out of jail and still has very strict rules to his parole or whatever, so hasn't been able to sleep with her. I bet you behind every single text he's sending is just this aggressive, pent-up sexual frustration. No, don't sleep in the other rooms with other guys, I need you to touch my pee-pee. At this point, my friend messaged me and asked me not to answer. This made me a little bit upset because while she doesn't need to defend me, I also have the right to defend myself. I didn't answer for a while, but afterwards I messaged him back and told him that if he would like to help me pay rent here, he can have a say in who stays. She ended up sleeping in her car in freezing temperatures. The boyfriend continued to message, but I didn't want to argue. The only time I heard from my friend that night was to defend her boyfriend. The next day, I get a message asking if she can stay over tonight. I explained I didn't appreciate her boyfriend getting mad at me, and all she said was, so yes or no. This is where I feel I could be the a-hole. I didn't message her back right away because, well, I was upset. I knew I would let her stay there because it isn't right for her to have to sleep in her car, but I didn't like how they were treating me. A couple hours later, I messaged her and said she could stay over. I didn't get an answer. She didn't stay over, and I haven't heard from either of them since. I seen them today, and they acted like they didn't see me. I don't really feel like I've done anything wrong. Who and when people stay at my house is up to me, and up to my roommate, and no one else. Also, I've known my male friend for a long time, have slept in the same room and bed as him before. I would trust him with my life. He is the nicest guy I have ever met. I understand that my friend's boyfriend doesn't know him, but he should just trust his girlfriend, shouldn't he? So am I the a-hole? Honestly, none of this is your fault. It sounds like your friend is in a sketchy relationship with a very controlling man, Nata. However, be careful hanging around them, because like I said, this guy doesn't sound the best. Now, see, what you should have done here was some de-escalation tactics. Reassure the boyfriend that his girlfriend is very trustable as a person, and look, end of the day, it's not cheating if it's just oral. Everyone sucks here. This would have been easily resolved if you put the air mattress in your room. Yeah, hang on, info. How well does the female friend know the male friend? I mean, you trust your male friend with your life, and that's amazing. But if I were the female friend, I still might be uncomfortable sleeping in a room with a guy I barely know, no matter how much my friend trusts him. Because while you trust him, doesn't mean she has to trust him too. But she doesn't have a problem with it. Her boyfriend acted selfish. I want my pee-pee touched, he said. He's jealous and selfish, so OP is Nata. Yeah, that hits the nail on the head. Your house, your rules. And besides, like, what have you got to lose here? 2 friends or 2 people in your life that are just causing drama for yourself? Oh no, what a loss! This story by Princess Polo 96. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend he scammed me? My boyfriend, who's 28 and I'm 25, we've been living together for about a year and a half. We hadn't been together very long when we decided to move in together, but since we were both in positions where our living situations changed, we decided to give it a try. A mutual friend who had just relocated to our city also moved in with us. Since the apartment we moved into was actually owned by my boyfriend's parents, it was decided that rent and utilities would be split evenly between the 3 of us. This would be paid to my boyfriend monthly, who would then in turn pay his parents. All other household expenses were also paid by the 3 of us, and we usually ended up splitting everything 3 ways. This arrangement worked out great, and everyone got along very well. A few months ago, the circumstances of our mutual friend changed, and he decided to move out, leaving just my boyfriend and I in the apartment. This was absolutely fine with both of us. Since there were now only two of us paying rent and utilities, I assumed it would now be increased accordingly. I was told this was not necessary, and as long as we covered the expenses, then it would be fine. What I had been previously paying more than covered my half of these expenses, so I continued paying this amount. Okay. That's a red flag. Then a month or two ago, we are discussing the arrangement and I decided to ask if the money I was paying was still being paid over to his parents. He said it wasn't, and that they had agreed he should rather use this for household expenses, etc. At this point, I got upset and asked where the money I had been paying for the last 6 months had been going. He said it has been used to cover expenses such as Wi-Fi, groceries, and a few others of which I had been separately paying for as well. At this point, I told him I felt like I had been scammed, to which he got upset and said that that was never his intention. Yeah, okay, cool. You're still doing it though. To give a little more background, my boyfriend makes approximately double what I make and saves at least 50% of his immediately every month. He has been able to save a significant amount by doing that, but I have not been quite as fortunate. I feel as though he was making money off me without me even knowing. I'm torn about whether to let it go as an honest mistake or where to ask for part of my money back. No a-holes here. Well, I get you being upset, but his parents are the landlords, and if they want to give your rent to their son, they are more than welcome to. Also, he didn't really have any obligation to tell you about the arrangement he had with his parents giving him the money. In the end, he didn't scam you out of any money, but instead, his parents gave him your money, which, again, they have every right to do. Now look, that's totally understandable, if it weren't for the fact that he is her boyfriend. I mean, look, I don't understand how relationships work for you, but personally, I prefer to mean something more to someone than just a ATM machine with a penis. Like, dude, she's literally become a second form of income for him. Not the a-hole. Your boyfriend has been lying to you by omitting where your money was actually going. Regardless if his parents okayed this, you were sending him money under false pretenses and have essentially been paying most, if not all, of the apartment's utilities and other expenses yourself under the illusion it was for rent. He has having you pay twice if you think about it. Either way, this is some shady stuff from your boyfriend. At best, he lied by omission. At worst, he's scamming you and has been living off you for the past year and a half. Neither scenario reflects well on him or as a reliable partner. That's basically what I said without any phallic references, but sure, okay, steal my ideas. Great minds think alike, I guess. Yeah, how can that be an honest mistake? The agreement was to split the rent evenly, and you found out there is no rent being paid to the parents at all. Boyfriend is pocketing the money and using it to pay his part of normal household expenses that you also pay part of, so boyfriend's expenses are zero. Now, if this was the agreement from the get-go, it would have been not a problem, but he hid this from you. This does not bode well for transparency in the future. Overall, the boyfriend's real sketchy in this scenario, but you're the one that's still with him. Why? Worse still, though, is the fact the parents themselves are really the ones instigating this behavior of him. Not exactly he himself is the one taking advantage of you, but more so taking advantage of his parents who are taking advantage of you. But once again, regardless, you did sign a lease. The fact you're shocked that it turns out there's a bit of nepotism going on is really kind of on you. On to the next story is a throwaway. Am I the a-hole for telling my cousin he wasn't a hero for being in the army? Oh boy! I just want to start off by saying I have nothing but respect for anyone serving in the military. I have multiple friends who serve and even they are divided on the story, so I thought I'd bring it here. Nice backtracking on your title there, well done, good work. My family had a barbecue during summer 2019, before COVID, and my cousin, 23-year-old male, was there with his new girlfriend and his parents. He had a bit to drink and started going off on how us civilians take him for granted, and that we'd never understand what it's like to be a hero like him. He talked smack about me, 28-year-old male, for going to college and not serving. I just pushed it off and changed the subject, but he always came right back to it. After over 2 hours and a few beers, I snapped and said that he wasn't a hero just because he's in the military, especially since he was forced to go into it and he should be in jail. Then I reminded him of how he got there, all in front of the girlfriend who apparently didn't even know the story. My cousin has always been the black sheep of the family. He ran with a bad crowd, always seemed to have loads of money despite not having a job, and got into lots of fights. We all assumed he was a dealer, but never knew for certain. When he was 18, he got pulled over and the cops found a loaded handgun with the serial number filed off. He was facing over a decade in prison, but the judge offered to allow him to enlist into the army instead. I didn't know that this was a thing, but we live in the South, so I'm not shocked. Hang on, is that seriously how it works in America?
Well, it seems to me you're a violent criminal who doesn't follow the law, so either you can go to jail, or I can give you this bazooka, and you can kill some people for the government. Does that sound punishing enough for you?
The army seems to have given him more discipline, but he's still the same a-hole, just in camo. My cousin reacted poorly, as expected, and started screaming at me, and his parents practically had to drag him out. I haven't spoken to him since. So, was I an a-hole for telling him he's not a hero for joining the army to avoid jail time? Nah, he was practically begging for it. Although, the US government is also kind of an a-hole here. Enlisting because it's either that or prison doesn't make him a hero. I honestly didn't know enlist or go to prison was still a thing, and I grew up in the southern United States. Yeah, I'm still stuck there. That's a really weird way to punish someone for breaking the law. You offer them financial stability and benefits? Guess your guys' job interviews run differently than Australia's. Though, to be fair, us Australians are literally the plotline of The Descendants, so I guess it's not that much different. Everyone sucks here. You reacted poorly to him being a drunk idiot D-bag, and even though I get it, you could have just told him he's drunk and he's being a butthead. You're all being a-holes, but he more than you. I work with combat veterans. People join the military for various reasons, including, well, they are patriotic, they believe in the honor of servitude. It's a family tradition. They are escaping abusive homes, or they have sociopathic traits and it allows them to act out with approval. No one I have ever worked with who falls into the first three camps talks like your brother did. Natar. My honest opinion? Everyone sucks here. Yes, the only reason he got into the army was because it was either that or jail time. In the army, you have the risk of being shredded with thousands of bullet holes. But in jail, you're only dealing with one hole, and it's already there. It's just getting a bit bigger. Your young man was willing to risk his life to avoid getting violently butt-plugged, and honestly, I commemorate him for that effort. Honestly sounds like this is the only good thing he's got going for his life so far, and don't really ruin it for him. You already know you're better than him, man. Don't rub it in his face.
Well, SpaghettiOs, that does us for another video today. Thanks for watching, thanks for sticking around. Love to see you here. If you're this far, that means you enjoyed the video, so I expect a like on this one. And also, hey, if you're new to the channel, come along and subscribe. It helped me grow this thing. Join my fam. I genuinely love your engagement. Makes this a lot more fun to do. So again, yeah, join the channel, subscribe, all that shebang. And with that said, I guess I'll leave you for the next one. My name's been Jack. It's been a pleasure rambling at your face, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.